storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' till it's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In the heart of the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading on light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Got my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Poppin' till it's swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules in this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your Sunday vitamins, or shall I say your Sunday morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr_A_Shakur, also on X at DGoddess27. And as per usual, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. So with that all being said, let's see who all is in here. All right, Pearly, Juju B is in the house, Auntie Leah. All right, let's get into it, Pretty Wings. Vince, I am from the UK. All right, shout out to my moderators putting in work. Okay, Lenora X is here. Nessa G. Chris B is in the house. All right, let's get into it. Most hated bronze flat power God. Okay, so everybody please hit that like button. Please like and share. I see you, Troy. Okay, so Laverne is in the house. All right, so shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. Okay, let's get ready to get into it. Diane is here. We the people, my Aunt Ita, Bithia. Okay, maybe I need to put my glasses on, honey, because I'm missing some of you. Didn't I just see DJ in here? DJ Perkadelic. All right, so let's get into it. Now, before we get started, let's have a brief word from our sponsor. All right, shout out to Jamal in the house. Okay, and Anita Harrell. Okay, so let's have a brief word from our sponsor at 12 Tribes. Okay, because we got to keep the lights on. Okay, then we'll get into these receipts.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes oil for your hair at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so let's get into it, honey, because why? It's the NFL colluding. All right, that's what it looks like. They're colluding against Shadur Sanders. Okay, so let's talk about it, because I happen to think that this is all because they're hating on Dion. You see, the NFL doesn't like these masculine, well, I'm not going to say just the NFL, because that's not just them. It is some of these people within the status quo, period. People who have these organizations like the NFL, of course. And then, you know, you have these people with the NBA as well. Okay. And then you have these people in Hollywood, all right, who like to put black men who look masculine in dresses. Okay, so I think that they have a problem with Dion because they've said in the past that Dion is cocky. Now, when you think about the word cocky, think about the equivalent of how they addressed black men back in the old days, right? Uppity. That's what they would call them, uppity. It really means the same thing as cocky, because either way, it's a black man who speaks for himself, who says what's on his mind, who doesn't take any BS, and who thinks highly of himself and knows what he's all about, knows his worth. And so some people don't like that. And so when you're the type of black man who carries that sort of energy, they're going to say that you're cocky or you're uppity. And then that's when they're going to have a problem with you. And so if they have a problem with you and they can't really take you down or do anything to you that's nefarious that they'd really like to, well, then they try to do other little slick, petty, catty things. Like, for example, 37 people or teams look over your son, okay, during the draft, and then he's only picked 5th. Yeah, that's hilarious to me, okay? These people are clearly pressed. These people are clearly pressed. Now, I want to hear from the men in the chat. Men in the chat, what do y'all have to say about this? And what do you all happen to think is the reason for them just skipping over Shadur Sanders, okay? When he is a very good athlete, all right? And, you know, you never see this happen to a quarterback. Please pay attention. His father, Dion, said to him, "I am so proud of you, son. You deserved it." Okay, now much has been made of Sanders dropping to the 5th round after some NFL experts projected him as a first-round pick. But Coach Prime's pride for his son is obviously still there, okay, because they were just trying to make Shadur feel bad about himself or trying to send a message, okay? This is the same type of stuff they did to Colin Kaepernick, lest we forget. They all got together and colluded against him. It was all planned out. No, I'm not gonna pick him. Are you going to pick him? No, none of us are going to pick him. That's what we're going to do. And see if we just don't pick him, then his career will be ended without us just saying that he's kicked out of the NFL. Okay, this is what they do. I want you all to pay attention. Pretty Wing said they thought he was entitled and wanted to humble him. I don't even think it's that. They are just hating on Dion Sanders. Okay, Dion's always been flashy. He's always had an air of, confidence about himself. I'm sure they'd love to call it arrogance, but nonetheless, he doesn't take their mess. Okay, and that's what the problem is, in my opinion. Jamal said, "I boycott and don't purchase any products or tickets." Honey, I don't even fool with them. Okay, ever since the whole Colin Kaepernick thing in 2016, beloved. All right, so anyway, let's talk about it. And yes, it has a lot to do with racism, which further makes me upset because the NFL is 75%, I do believe, okay, of black men. And so it's interesting to me that when they decide they want to throw one of them away or they want to be shady or do whatever, then they get to do it and get away with it. And these black men on the NFL teams, on these teams, they don't stand up for each other or for themselves. Okay, that's what they don't do. Now, that's just my 2 cents. But let's talk about it. Like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Was Shadur Sanders picked in 2025 NFL draft? Okay, hold on. Okay, let's go to his response or his reaction. Dion Sanders' son, Shadur, reacts after throwing lavish NFL draft party and not getting picked. Okay, you think about the embarrassment, honey? Okay, but let's talk about it. Shadur said it just adds fuel to the fire that he wasn't selected in the first round of the 2025 draft. Okay, I mean, they're trying to break this young man's spirit. That's all that is. So Dion Sanders' son, Shadur, held his head high after going unselected during the first round of the NFL draft. Shadur, age 23, threw a lavish party on April the 24th with friends and family as he hoped his name would be called during the draft. But the Colorado Buffaloes quarterback remained unselected as the first round concluded. Now, after the party, Dion, age 57, shared a video to Instagram of his son speaking to guests, saying, "We all didn't expect this, of course." A disappointed Shadur said, he said, "We all didn't expect this." Hold on, these nefarious pop-ups. Hold on just a second. Okay, yeah, we didn't expect it, of course, a disappointed Shadur said, but I feel like with God, anything's possible, everything's possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. Yeah, because they were hating. That's the reason, beloved. Shadur said going unselected in the first round simply motivates him to work harder. All of this, of course, fuels the fire, and under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened, but we understand we're on to bigger and better things. So the Buffalo Star, whose jersey will be retired alongside former teammate and number two pick Travis Hunter, concluded his speech by saying, "Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless." Legendary. Now, former NBA star Dwayne Wade commented saying, "That's how you handle things." Okay. So anyway, honey, it's all a hot mess. I'm gonna go to the video. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Let me see if I need to open this at Instagram before I try to share it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please. Don't forget to like and share. Thank you in advance. Lorraine says Shadur screwed himself by not going to the NFL combined and not interviewing well with the NFL teams. Who said he didn't interview well, beloved? They said that. Do you believe them? Do you think he really did interview well? How do we know they're even telling the truth, honey? When they collude against you, they can say all kinds of stuff. Doesn't make any of it true. Please pay attention.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is, of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we're on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless. Legendary. Mm.
Now, here's the thing. I'm sorry. Anybody who thinks that he didn't get picked first or second draft, you think that that's his fault? Then you don't know much about football, clearly, okay? You definitely don't know about Dion Sanders, okay? As I said. Now, with that all being said, let's continue. This has nothing to do with anything Shadur did, facts, period, and that's just what it is, okay? It was nothing that he did or didn't do. This is a bunch of hate from racist demons, period. Now, let's get into it, because here's the thing. And even Trump had something to say, which shocked me. Trump came out and called the NFL stupid for not picking him. This was all a concerted effort. Okay, it was nothing this young man didn't do in an interview. His interview went bad. Like, please, miss me with it. Okay, they're just saying whatever to try to justify their nefarious actions, the fact that they colluded and are hating on this young man and his father, who's a whole legend, by the way. President Donald Trump harshly criticized NFL franchises for not drafting Colorado quarterback Shadur Sanders in the first round of Thursday's draft, calling all 32 team owners stupid. Okay, now Sanders, the son of the NFL Hall of Famer Dion Sanders, was not taken among the 32 picks. Okay, did not say 37 teams, honey, please. I meant 32. But anyway, while many mock drafts had Shadur Sanders going in the first round, often to the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 21, there was not a wide consensus that he would be a first-round pick. They say, what is wrong with NFL owners? Are they stupid? This is what Trump wrote in a post on Truth Social, saying Dion Sanders was a great college football player and was even greater in the NFL. He's also a very good coach, streetwise and smart. What in the hell does Trump know about streetwise, sonny? But let me continue. Therefore, Shadur, his quarterback son, has phenomenal genes and is all set for greatness. Not talking about his genes. Now, I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention. Vince, I am talking about they did that on purpose, allegedly. Of course they did. Okay. Israel said even Trump knew it was some BS. Exactly my point. So how does any black person not know that? Please pay attention, honey. Now, here's the thing. I find it interesting because listen to Trump talking about his genes. He said it's in his genes. And I want you to pay attention to that because that's how people like Trump really think about people like Shadur. They think about your genes. Okay, they think about the dominance in your DNA and your genetics and all of that. Okay, so that's the reason for some of the things that go on. Okay, please pay attention. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Vince I.M. said Trump's statement is so diluted and heavily watered down, in my opinion. He didn't call a spade an actual spade. He forgot what they did to Colin Kaepernick. Honey, he didn't forget what they did to Colin Kaepernick. In my opinion, beloved, he just didn't really want to say anything good about Colin Kaepernick because then he would have been going against his base because it was mostly his people, MAGA, that was hating on Colin Kaepernick. Now, with that all being said, goes on to say that while many mock drafts had Shadur Sanders going in the first round, often to the Pittsburgh Steelers, number 21. That was not the consensus. Okay, so then back to what Trump was saying. He said they're stupid, talked about how Dion Sanders is a very good coach, was a great player, streetwise and smart. Saying, therefore, Shadur, his quarterback son, has phenomenal genes. It is all set for greatness. He should be picked immediately. Now, mind you, he has this stuff written in all caps, some of it. Okay, he should be picked immediately by a team that wants to win. Good luck, Shadur, and say hello to your wonderful father. All right, this is all hilarious. Anyway, so Sanders was the Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year for the Buffaloes last season, okay? Now, he is NBC Sports Connor Rogers. And here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention because Lorraine said that he didn't interview well and all that stuff or whatever. Let me tell you something, beloved. There has been quarterbacks who have gotten into all kinds of trouble outside of the field, okay? They have done a myriad of things, and they still got picked before the 5th round, okay? So a bad interview, even if that was the case, that is no excuse. Okay, please pay attention. All right, that is no excuse. Okay, so with that all being said, Trump has not been shy about voicing his opinions on the NFL in the past. Now, in September of 2017, amid national anthem protests by NFL players, Trump said at a rally, "Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, you'd say, get that SOB off the field now, out. He's fired." Okay, so that's how he felt about Colin Kaepernick. Please pay attention. All right, so early, he didn't forget about him, honey. Now, earlier this year, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, who's supposed to be cool with Dion Sanders, okay, please pay attention, said the league wouldn't roll back its diversity, equity, and inclusion practices after a Trump executive order seeking the elimination of those programs. Saying we got into diversity efforts because we felt it was the right thing for the National Football League. And we're going to continue those efforts because we've not only convinced ourselves, I think we've proven to ourselves that it does make the NFL better. Well, of course it does, honey, please, okay? If it wasn't people who look like me in the NFL, there wouldn't be one. And if it was, it would just be so bland, bored, and nobody would be watching football. And that's just the fact. We're not in this because it's a trend to get into it or a trend to get out of it. Our efforts are fundamental in trying to attract the best possible talent in the National Football League, both on and off the field, he said. So anyway, honey. Now, an insider basically says that it was, that they were hating on Dion as well. So hold on. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. NFL Draft Day 2. They say overreactions. Dion Sanders' reason for Shadur Sanders' fall. Colorado quarterback goes undrafted. Now, the second night of the NFL draft was noticeable, but for the reason many are tired of discussing. Shadur Sanders still has not been selected in the NFL draft. Now, this is when they write the second one. Now, as 5 quarterbacks have been taken before him, Sanders once a projected top 10 pick. Okay, so how did Sanders fall so far in the draft? Okay, Tyler Shaw from the Saints and Jalen Milroe, Seahawks, and Dylan Gabrielle, Browns, all were selected ahead of Sanders on day 2. At this point, is Sanders even going to be drafted, they ask? Fortunately, there are plenty of overreactions involving Sanders that need to be addressed. We'll decide if they are overreactions or not, along with other highlights from day 2 on the NFL draft. Okay, so Shadur Sanders will go undrafted. Now, they say could be eating words here. Okay, thought there was a little chance Sanders wouldn't get picked in round 2. But 3 quarterbacks went on day 2 before Sanders was selected. There sits Sanders, still waiting for his name to be called as day 3 of the draft begins on Saturday. Now, once thought as a top 10 pick, Sanders fell all the way to round 4. Could Sanders actually have fallen? Could he actually fall even further and be undrafted in a year where the quarterback's class was not even great? This is highly unlikely, but a fair question to consider heading into Saturday. Is Sanders okay with being a backup quarterback on a good team and not seeing the field? Will Dion Sanders be a distraction in the aftermath of when Shadur is selected? Can Sanders even develop into a quarterback teams can trust on the field? No matter where Sanders goes, the questions will be out there. He still should likely be selected in the 4th round, but this could be a real problem in Kyle McCord if Kyle McCord and Will Howard are picked before him. How Dion Sanders handled the lead into his son's draft is a huge reason why Shadur fell this far in the first place. Shadur Sanders is a better player than what some give him credit for, even with some of his deficiencies at the position. Now, Dion Sanders is partially to blame for this fall. Now, pay attention. They're blaming it on Dion. Sanders has ripped anonymous critics of his son prior to the draft and has even ripped Browns quarterback Joe Flacco. And the Browns were one of the teams that needed a quarterback. Dion's connections around NFL players and coaches were thought to be a massive benefit for Shadur, but instead have been a hindrance. First of all, why are they blaming him for what his father does? Okay, I have several questions. But anyway, so they go on to say, then comes Dion listing the teams he wanted Shadur to play for and the teams he wouldn't want his son to play for. That had to scare off some teams and not give Shadur a second look. Well, that pretty much wasn't too smart, Dion. You probably shouldn't have said that. No, this has become a case study of what not to do leading into the draft for a prospect. And it isn't even all of Shadur's fault. Well, here's the thing. No matter how they try to slice it, it isn't Dion's fault either, because Dion can say whatever, but that should not be reflected on Shadur, okay? Because he's the one out here trying to play at the end of the day, and he's good at what he does, okay? So, and what are they talking about? They're scared of Dion. Anyway, so there really is a lot to like about Milroe, a developmental project at quarterback who is an electric ball carrier who provides big plays in the passing game. Milroe still needs work as a passer, but can learn under Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. A third-round pick, Milroe, is expected to start in his rookie season, especially not after the Seahawks signed Darnold. Okay, what about in year 2? With a year in the offense under his belt and Darnold having a cap number of $33.9 million. Now, the Seahawks can easily get out of that contract after year 2, so they don't owe Darnold much. If Darnold struggles in year 1 with the Seahawks, the clock will be ticking. Milroe may be ready to seize the starting quarterback job by that point. So, anyway, I'm not going to read all of this, but clearly, it sounds like they were hating to me. Like I said, they've already said Dion was cocky and all of that. Now, here's what an insider had to say. NFL insider slams anonymous hate against Shadur Sanders ahead of NFL draft. So the NFL draft is meant to be a celebration, the culmination of years of sweat, sacrifice, and dedication. But for former Colorado Buffaloes star Shadur Sanders, this moment has been clouded by a shadow that's become all too familiar in draft season. Anonymous character assassination, they say. Okay, so they say Jordan Schultz isn't holding back. NFL insider Jordan Schultz recently spoke to a high-level executive who delivered a rare dose of honesty about the cowardice behind unnamed criticism. The anonymous negative quotes that pop up every year. Total garbage, the exec said. If you've got something to say, put your name on it or keep it in the house. Okay? It's a sentiment that especially is relevant as Sanders, one of college football's most talked about quarterbacks, faces a new wave of faceless attacks just days before the draft. See, these are people that want to talk trash, but they don't want to show their faces or who they are. That's why I don't have any problem dropping the link, okay? Because anybody can talk tough when nobody knows who you are. So spoke to a high level, they said it spoke to a high-level NFL executive, or he spoke to a high-level NFL executive today about the draft and came away with a lot of respect for this one thing that he said. He said, the anonymous negative quotes that pop up every year, total garbage. And if you got something to say, pretty much say it. Now, this was supposedly posted on X. Now, Tom Pelissero's pre-draft breakdown included an ugly anonymous quote from a longtime NFL coach who called Sanders entitled and claimed that he had the worst formal interview ever. Okay, that's just BS. Now, it was a character hit and contradicted what many other front offices have said, that Sanders is intelligent, tough, and has real NFL tools. This past season, Sanders threw for 4,134 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions behind one of the worst offensive lines in Power 4 football while being sacked 43 times. Okay, please pay attention. All right, so the reaction to the hit piece was swift. NFL, see, that's what I'm saying. Some people just foolishly believe whatever they're told or whatever they read or hear. Talking about he had a bad interview and this, that, and that. Like, sit down somewhere, honey. Okay, so anyway, NFL Network's Kyle Brandt publicly dismantled the quote, saying, I see entitlement in a grown professional who is going around anonymously destroying young athletes. That quote is bull crap. Now, Schultz's reporting has helped shift the spotlight, revealing how some in the league are just as fed up with these shadowy cheap shots. Okay, Colorado fans who have watched Shadur lead with poise through relentless pressure. And if NFL teams want transparency and leadership, then maybe it's time they start demanding the same from their very own. Until then, anonymous critics will keep hiding behind the curtain, hoping their words stick out, okay, without them having any accountability. All right. So anyway, what do you all have to say about all of this? Let's go to what Stephen A. Smith had to say. Okay? Because y'all know I really don't care for Stephen A. Smith, but honey, he told no lies at all. None whatsoever, not a one. Okay, so let's get into it. Then we're going to talk about Shannon because I have several questions. Because I heard somebody saying that we're not on code because we're going in on Shannon. And we're going to get into that because Shannon ain't on code, honey. So why the hell are we supposed to be on code as it pertains to him? Okay, please pay attention. All right, here we go. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance. You put my overlay on here. I'm going to put on just a little music. I don't need any copyright issues. Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Set the lights low.
But if you're the National Football League, okay, clearly it's not about talent anymore. It's about something else. And I'm going to tell you, I spent a large amount of the last 24 hours thinking about nothing more than I was thinking about collusion. Because how in the hell does 32 teams in the National Football League pass on a quarterback that was universally recognized as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country entering this draft, and 32 teams passed on him, not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 different times they passed on him? How the hell does that happen? 4 rounds. It doesn't happen to a quarterback. We've never seen anything like this before. We've seen guys drop because of injuries. We've seen guys drop because of off-field issues, but we've never seen a quarterback projected to be a top 20 pick, universally recognized one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft, projected to be a first rounder, in all likelihood a safe bet of a late first rounder, and drop literally to the 5th round. We haven't seen anything like that. Primetime Dion Sanders natural bravado, coupled with that of his son. They say that the whole interview process wasn't that impressive when he showed up at the NFL scouting combine and refused to work out. That hurt him. The interview process while he was there hurt him, etc., etc. You know what, y'all? I get it. It makes perfect damn sense if he's drafted in the 2nd round. It's the fact that he fell to 5th that's alarming. So in other words, you're willing to collectively send that kind of message, and don't act like it wasn't a collective effort. For all we know, teams collectively, meaning owners, had come to the conclusion nobody's going to touch him in the first 4 rounds. All right, now that the round 5 is here, our message has been sent, so y'all could go about the business of sort of lifting the embargo, for lack of a better phraseology. I don't know what the hell happened. All I know is this: it's freaking unfair. It ain't right. A complete and utter lack of appreciation for what primetime Dion Sanders has done for the game of football. Primetime Dion Sanders had more swag, more bravado than anybody you could ever imagine. What else he do? All the brother did was go out there and perform at a very, very elite level, bring pizzazz and sizzle to your product, helping it grow into this multi-billion-dollar brand. Has a great relationship with the commissioner, has a great relationship with a bevy of players and coaches in the National Football League, knows the sport backwards and forwards. And because of his swag and his bravado or whatever, y'all gonna turn against him. How about y'all should have drafted Shadur Sanders earlier because of that alone? Shadur Sanders, in my opinion, was targeted because primetime Dion Sanders was targeted. What happened to Shadur Sanders, in part, not totally, but in part, was a direct assault on Dion Sanders. He did not deserve this. His son didn't deserve it. His play didn't deserve this. His production didn't deserve this. His projected skill set didn't deserve this. His accomplishment didn't deserve this. And his pedigree didn't deserve it. Because say what you will about Dion Sanders, he has never taken from the game. He has only given to it.
Preach. Preach. All right, so y'all heard that. Now, let me just say a little something here to Lorraine, honey, because Lorraine, what we're not going to do. So we're not going to have any Dion, a.k.a. primetime slander, okay, or, blasphemy on this channel. Girl, what are you talking about? Do you just hate this man? Okay, Lorraine says Dion only won a championship in the NFL for joining two super teams, which were the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. So here's the thing, and here's why you make no sense, beloved, because you said that he only won championships because he joined two super teams. Well, don't you think that super teams would only pick super players who were superstars, who did super jobs, and that's how they are super? Girl, bye, sit down somewhere, honey. You are clearly hating on primetime, baby. And it's too early to be hating at this point. Girl, who pissed in your Wheaties, okay? Who pissed in your cornflakes? Because you seem pressed, but you seem clearly pressed, honey, talking about Dion Sanders this early in the morning. All right, trying to take away from a whole legend, honey. I'll have you know that Dion Sanders, honey, was all that then and he's all that now. And, let's not forget that he excelled in not only the NFL, but he also was a professional baseball player. Girl, how could you dare to talk down on a whole legend, honey? Either you're somebody who doesn't like people who look like me, or you're somebody who's mad because you're a person who looks like me and you're full of self-hate. Is that what your problem is? Because that's what it's giving. Okay, that's what it's giving, honey. Okay, please sit down somewhere because you are clearly pressed. And if you're so pressed, why are you in here listening to this? Because I'm talking about Shadur and Dion. Okay, and if you don't like either of them, I don't know why you came. Now, let's continue. Let's talk about Brian DeBall, okay? For those of you who know who this is the head coach for the New York Giants, who in 2022 won like Coach of the Year or something, honey. But here's what he has to say. Now, somebody asked him about his meeting with Shadur Sanders and why did he not even want to answer the question, try to just sidestep it, okay? Brian DeBall sidesteps question of whether he had rough meeting with Sanders, okay, with Shadur Sanders. So as we learned from last year's off-season Hard Knocks, Giants coach Brian DeBall likes to put quarterback prospects on the whiteboard and then grill them. So on Thursday, a report emerged suggesting that one such session between DeBall and quarterback prospect Shadur Sanders did not go well. So Todd McShay of The Ringer, previously a longtime fixture on ESPN's draft coverage, had this to say on Thursday via Dan Benton of USA Today, saying that Shadur didn't have a great interview with Brian DeBall in a private visit, okay? And an install package came in. Preparation wasn't there for it. He got called out on it. Didn't like that. Brian didn't appreciate him not liking it. Okay, so Brian didn't appreciate that he has the same attitude as his father, Dion. That's what it sounds like, okay? This claim shows the difference between attributing facts and opinions to an unnamed source. This is a specific anecdote with little room for interpretation or editorial, not a generalized airing of grievances under an excessive grants of anonymity. Now, DeBall was asked about the report on Friday after the Giants picked defensive tackle Darius Alexander. DeBall did not directly answer the question. Yeah, I'd say we had good meetings with all the guys that came in here for visits. Quarterback meetings were productive. And, we're happy with Jason Dart. They asked you about Shadur Sanders and you end with, we're happy with Jason Dart, or Jackson Dart, I'm sorry. So GM Joe Schoen thereafter shut it down, trying to focus the questions on Alexander and not on players, not on the New York roster. Obviously, the Giants prefer Dart. The real question, to which we'll never know the answer, is whether they would have taken Sanders before pick 144 if they knew they could have gotten him that late. However, it would have played out. Shadur now has a Giants-related draft story to parallel his father's. Here's what Dion Sanders had to say in 2017 about his experience with the Giants in 1989. Okay, when they wanted him to take a lengthy test, saying they sat me down and gave me a thick book. This is what he said at the time. I mean, this thing was thicker than a phone book. I said, what's this? They said, this is our test that we give all of the players. I said, excuse me, what pick do you have in this draft? They said, I think 10th. I said, I'll be gone before then. Said, I'll be gone before then. I'll see y'all later. I ain't got time for this. That's a true story. Okay? So maybe one of these days, Shadur will tell his version of the true story of his interaction with the Giants. Whatever it was, they ended up wanting Jackson Dart. Well, you know, at the end of the day, they'll regret it. Okay, so let's talk about Shannon. All right? Let's talk about Shannon, honey. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Pretty Wing says, this New York staff and GMs is the same people who wouldn't pay Saquon and sent him to the Eagles. We see how that worked out. Honey, the hate is real. Noah says Cleveland Browns haven't won in a long time, but a nice fan base. Abdul says these people are going to continue to do what they do. Going to continue to do what they want to do with the NFL and their draft system. Yes, they are. And like I said, beloved, I blame the black folk because the players at the end of the day, they need to stand up and unify. Okay. At the end of the day, if it wasn't for them, there would be no NFL. And that's just facts on facts on facts. Lorraine says Dion is so pro-black but left those black athletes at Jackson's University High and drive with no scholarship. Well, you know, at the end of the day, here's the thing. Sometimes you can't save everybody, so you have to do what's best for you. Now, I know we all were disappointed when Dion left, but at the end of the day, that was his choice. And here's the thing. If you want to take everything that Dion Sanders has acquired and accomplished and all of his accolades and his entire legacy, him being a whole legend, if you want to just discount and discredit all of that because you're mad because he didn't make the choice you thought he should make, then that's just insidiously obtuse, okay? And see, that's what's wrong with some of my people. Unfortunately, I tell you all this all the time, that one of us can get mad about one thing that somebody that looks like us does. We can love everything else that they've done. We can appreciate everything else that they brought to the table, but that one thing is enough for us to throw them under the bus. So, you know, is that why you're sitting there talking trash about Dion? And then you want to throw that out there because you think that's going to make me talk trash about Dion or the rest of us? Yeah, we may have been disappointed when he chose to go another route than which we would have preferred. But at the end of the day, that's his decision. And last I checked, grown people can make whatever decisions they want, okay? And no other grown people should be mad about it if it doesn't directly affect them. Okay, please pay attention. Laverne says, I sold Dion a pair of Bailey shoes back in the day at Sports Profile, D-Town, Atlanta. Nice tipper, too. Yeah, I heard it was a very nice tipper. Thank you, beloved, for that story and your contribution to the channel. Peace, love, and blessings, okay? Leon said internalized racism is something else. Yes, it is. And hate, honey. It's all about the hate. Now, let's talk about y'all's uncle, Shannon Sharpe. Shannon just really isn't that sharp, is he? Definitely not. So here's the thing I want to talk about, because I heard someone yesterday doing a video and they were implying that black folk that are talking about Shannon and that are saying, oh, he's disgusting because he talked to somebody that was half his age or less than half his age, more than half his age and whatnot, and saying that we were talking about him messing with the white women and all that stuff, said that he's never said anything bad about black women or black people, and that we shouldn't be going in on him, and that we're just scared to stand up for him, because if we stood up for him, then we'd have to admit that we don't have control over anything. I want y'all to pay attention to the game that's being ran, because here's the truth of the matter. First of all, and they said we're not on code, those of us going against the worst thing. Shannon's not on code his damn self. You see, if Shannon was on code, he wouldn't be messing around with Becky Okay, that's what he wouldn't be doing. All right, that's for number one. He would have sense enough to know that at 57 years old, you don't mess around with some little 19 and 20-year-old girl that doesn't even look like you, because you already know what kind of time you can get on. Okay, what kind of time she can get on, and what can happen if she gets on that sort of time. Here's another thing too. Shannon is nothing but an old fool. And here's why. Because anytime you're 57, you're right around the corner from 60, and you let somebody who's right out of high school, okay, just a few years out of high school, because she was 19, okay, when they met, supposedly he was 54. So you let somebody that wet behind the ears, or somebody still who got milk on their breath, okay, play you, shade you, finesse you, all right, and clock you for your bag, and record you and gather receipts upon you without your knowledge. You're an idiot. Because here's why. First of all, when she was recording Shannon, he should have known she was recording. Like, what kind of fool is he? He should have known she was recording, because she started saying certain things. Said, let me tell you something, honey. If I was on the phone with this person or anybody and they're saying certain things, I'm going to know what's up. I'm going to know what time they're on. Because when she's saying stuff like, Shannon, no means no, Shannon. Hold the hell up. I got something for y'all. Hold on up. Wait a minute. Let me put some in it. Okay, please pay attention.
Well, what, Gabby?
You're coming to LA tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it, Gabby.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
Well, I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
I might choke you in public. Big black guy chose small white woman.
It's not a good look, Shannon.
Not a good look that you did what you think you did to me.
Okay, now here's the thing. Y'all heard that. Now, if you had been talking to someone on the phone, and they're talking to you about being choked and telling you they don't feel like being choked, that's implying that you choke them on a regular basis, perhaps, or you have definitely choked them more than once. That's something that they're supposedly used to, because they said they don't feel like it today. Today, I don't want to be choked. So when they're talking to you about being choked and stuff like that on the phone, you should know, have the wherewithal to discern and say, why the hell is she talking to me about being choked on this phone? Or if they're sending you text messages saying, no matter our history, Shannon, no means no. I asked you not to do X, Y, and Z, but you did it anyway. Then that should have been a red flag. Like, what the hell is she talking about all this on the phone? She know how we get down. Why would you respond to it talking about, I don't know how to process this, I'll call you later? Why would you feed into it? And now he says that it was edited, and I do believe that was edited. I told you all that from the get-go. It was too many long pauses and some of the audio, whatever. And this is, by the way, a shakedown. That's what it is. It's no last jacket. Now, the person who was saying we're not on code, I do agree with them when they say this is a shakedown, a money grab. Yeah, of course, that's what it is. But the problem with it is Shannon brought this on himself from being stupid. Okay, from being old and thirsty. Okay, that's what he did. Now, some have tried to compare him to Tracy Ellis Ross. Corey Holcomb, for example, was going in on Tracy Ellis Ross about her saying she likes younger men. But the thing of the matter is this: Tracy Ellis Ross is about 52 years old. And when she's talking about dating younger men, I'm pretty sure she's talking about between the ages of probably 30 to like 40. Okay. Something like that, 45 maybe. She's definitely probably not talking about 19 or 20, because what could a 19 or 20-year-old do for a grown arse woman, okay, who's about her business and got her career and all of that? He's not going to give her money, and she surely wouldn't be giving him money, I wouldn't think. At least I would hope not. But see, these older men, okay, specifically ones that have money like Shannon, well, they already know that they're going to have to pay to play, and they don't mind. They're happy with it because that's how thirsty they are. They know that these young girls is not checking for them like that, because at the end of the day, even if they look good for their age, well, there's a whole lot of 19 and 20-year-olds who look better than them, and they don't have to work as hard. So at the end of the day, honey, and then let's not forget that Shannon has to take roast sparks, honey, okay? The younger men don't have to do that. So I'm sorry, Shannon, honey, you just ain't that, you know what I'm saying, that nice with it, okay? And like somebody said, Shannon don't have the face, okay, to be trying to do the things that he's out here trying to do. You don't have the face for it, Shannon. I mean, he didn't catch the hint at all. He clearly let everything that young woman was doing go over his head. When she said to him, when she was coming to his house, when she said to him why do you want to go somewhere? Well, I guess we'll go because I don't feel like being choked. She didn't want to go anywhere with him because she likely didn't want to be seen in public with his old arse. Okay? She just wanted him to come over and do what he got to do so she can get her money at the end of the day. So, and here's another thing too. I want you all to pay attention because I'm not going to sit up here and defend Shannon. I don't give a damn if he did it or not. The bottom line is I'm not going to defend him regardless. Because if he had been on code, he wouldn't be in this predicament. And if he had been exercising common sense and critical thinking skills, you really don't even need critical thinking skills. If he'd only been exercising common sense, he would have known that this is not a good look. This is not the thing to do. This can get him in a whole lot of trouble. Now, when you have Monique and Cat Williams go on his show and try to tell him, warn him, and give him some advice, and he didn't listen to it, and like I told y'all, that's because it doesn't resonate with him because he's a fool. He don't understand his blackness. He don't understand the culture. He doesn't understand how our people are perceived, apparently, because he don't think he's perceived that way. Maybe he don't think he's one of us, and that's how he acts. So, of course, when they told him all that stuff, it fell upon deaf ears. So now we're supposed to sit here being the black delegation, and we're supposed to defend him. And if we don't, that means we're scared because we have to admit that we don't control anything and we're not on code. I find it interesting because we sure as hell got on code for Carmelo Anthony. We sure as hell got on code for him. That's how we were able to donate over $400,000 to him and his family. That's why we've been going in about him online, okay, and correcting the lies. All right, that's why we have been speaking up for him. You see, so we're not scared. So don't try to paint that manipulative narrative just because people aren't doing what you want them to do. And I told y'all that only perverts are the ones out here defending Shannon Sharpe. These other men who like women way down at the bottom, like 19 and 20 years old, 18, and they're 50 something. Yeah, that's okay with them. So for us to be saying that, they want to bring Tracy Ellis Ross into it and try to paint the narrative that y'all women, y'all be doing the same thing. When's the last time you heard of a black woman? When's the last time you heard of a black woman, okay, doing something nefarious to a 19 or 20-year-old, and then some type of situation like this? And then they said something about these older women marrying these little NFL players to get their money and all that. Older women marrying NFL players? What age are we talking about? When you say older, they got to be in their 30s. I bet you they're not in their 40s and 50s. I bet you that's what they're not. Because first of all, these NFL players with all these millions and contracts signed, and they don't want no old arse woman. So if they're marrying older women, it's probably just a few years older, like 6 or 7, 10 at the most. But what they're not doing is marrying no old broads in their 50s when they're 19 and 20 and 21, 22 in that age. That's what they're not doing. So stop trying to paint a narrative that don't even work. Okay, that's all I'm saying. Now, with that all being said, one's in the chat, because Shannon's a whole predator as far as I'm concerned. And at the end of the day, even if he didn't do it, he's still an idiot because he put himself right in the direct line of fire. He put himself right in the direct line of fire. Shannon reminds me of that parable. Okay, so remember how I said, and everybody's been talking about how Cat Williams and Monique tried to warn him, but he didn't heed the warning, and now here we are. He was on his own show speaking to Cat Williams about what happened to Jonathan Majors, and now he's Jonathan Majors. They're in the same shoes. Well, actually, Shannon's more closer to being in Diddy's shoes. Please pay attention, okay? And that's another thing. They were trying to say that they don't have nothing on Diddy, and Diddy, all he did was beat Cassie. Well, that's enough, because we literally saw it. Now, I told y'all, I don't think they have a strong case on Diddy either. That doesn't mean Diddy isn't nefarious, though, because clearly he is. We've heard the stories, and we've seen the police reports and all that stuff for over the years. Diddy's not a nice person. He is violent and vicious, and that's not alleged. He is violent and vicious. Okay, if you get mad at your son's coach and hit him with a kettlebell, at the end of the day, I'm sorry, aren't you violent? You hit somebody upside the head with a chair or a wine bottle, champagne bottle, that means you're violent. Facts. Okay, if you come up to somebody on Halloween dressed like the Joker and get ready to fight them just because you didn't like how they looked at you or something they said, then you're trying to tone it down and turn it into a joke because you realize that you overreacted and you look like a whole fool, that is violence. So with that all being said, and Diddy told lie after lie after lie, acting like he didn't do nothing to Cassie, it was all about a bag, and then the video comes out and we all saw it. Okay? So the bottom line is this. Diddy and Shannon are very similar to me, because they say Shannon was graping people from the back door, and they say Diddy was graping people from the back door. Men and women. I'm just wondering if some men gonna come out on Shannon. And here's another thing too. Shannon and Diddy both like younger women. Diddy was dating Cassie when she was 19 and he was 38. Now we thought that was crazy, but Shannon dating a 19-year-old when he's 54 is even worse. Now why do you think Shannon Sharpe and Diddy are in the predicaments that they're in? And then ask yourself, both of them were dating 19-year-olds. And both of these women who were 19 years old when they started dating Diddy and Shannon ended up suing them and accusing them of rape. Y'all see that? Y'all hear that? Did y'all catch that? Did y'all notice? Please pay attention, honey. They're both in the same boat. From the looks of it and sounds of it, they're sinking fast. Oh, but Shannon, let's not forget when Shannon said this. But I'm supposed to defend him? That'll be the day.
Everybody always talk about date your age, date your age. Well, I want to date my wage. I'm finna shut all this ish down tonight. I want to date my wage.
Stay right there. Stay right.
Where y'all at? Hey, chat, where they at?
Hold on. Cause you know I keep it on me now.
Yeah.
I keep it on me. You want to date your what?
I want to date my wage. Not my age. I want to date my wage. So where are they? Cause y'all always talking about date your age, date your age. I want to date my wage. So come on with it.
Well, you talking?
As a matter of fact, I'm taking applicants as we speak.
Well, you talking spicy tonight, boy.
Okay, y'all heard that. Now let me tell you all something about Shannon Sharpe and Diddy. See, there's a lot of parallels in their behaviors, in my opinion, at least according to the allegations. And if these allegations are true, then yes, there are parallels to their behavior. So think about this. Both of them have been accused of raping somebody from the back door. Both of them have been accused of being sexually perverted, so to speak, deviants, if you will, or engaging in things that are just not what average people would be doing. Okay, Diddy with the freak offs and the S-workers engaging in relations with him and his woman. Okay, that's just not something that's traditional. All right. Now, Shannon, on the other hand, according to his accusers, okay, we don't know if this is true or not, but at the end of the day, supposedly doing things from the back door, and I would think, and then having things done to him to his back door. So I would think that this is the reason that he and Diddy both like young women, like 19 years old. Okay, 19 and 20 years old. They like young women because they know they can easily or easier manipulate them, control them, tempt them with money and gifts, get them to do nefarious things that the average woman may not want to do. And maybe they didn't even want to do it, but did so because of opportunities of being given, or, you know, the chance of being given money. Okay? So with that all being said, yeah, Shannon nor Diddy doesn't want any older women 9 times out of 10. Specifically, Shannon doesn't, because Diddy has dated women closer to his age in the past. But Shannon, I believe Shannon likes younger women specifically, so he can manipulate, control, tell them what to do, bully in some cases perhaps, and get them to do the things that he wants done. Okay, get them to do the things that he wants done at the end of the day. But here's the problem. Diddy is smarter than Shannon, because at the end of the day, Shannon, like I said, he got played by somebody who's 30 years younger than him. He let this little girl with milk on her breath run game on him. And it was so obvious what she was doing. If you read the text messages, if you listen to the conversations, and then pay attention to this is where it really got me. Remember when Shannon came out and gave that little speech and spiel where he was trying to tell us his little side of the story and how they're running game and it's a shakedown and Tony Busby, this, that, and the third. And then he tried to bring Jay-Z and Beyonce into it, or not Beyonce, but he tried to bring Jay-Z into it. First of all, he should have gone and gotten Jay-Z's attorney, if you ask me. Okay, she had Busby. He should have gone and got Alex Spiro, because Alex Spiro beat Tony Busby last time and made him look like a whole fool. Okay, so that's what he should have done, because this lawyer he has right now is a whole hot mess, in my opinion. And Stephen A. Smith even said the same thing, basically, that I said, that he doesn't agree with his attorney. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, Shannon put himself in this predicament All right. And so I don't feel compelled to try to speak up at his behest. I don't feel compelled to try to defend him because really there's nothing to defend. We don't know if he did it or didn't do it. I guess all of that will come out eventually. But like I said, he probably should have hired Alex Spiro. Okay. And then him trying to liken his situation to Jay-Z's. Well, that doesn't really fly either. Because Jay-Z, like I said, Jay-Z obviously didn't do anything. Okay. There was no receipts. There was no text messages. There was no phone calls. All right. There was nothing. Now, the reason I think that Jane Doe, who is suing him, or Gabby, who's suing Shannon, I think she's full of crap, and it's clearly a shakedown, because when Shannon said Shannon moved to Las Vegas, she supposedly moved to Las Vegas. Now, she tried to say that she didn't move there because of him, but I think that she did. And if he was so mean to you and so nasty to you, why would you move to the same place that he is? And if he treated you so badly in October and raped you, why would you go back in January? Okay, so none of that's making sense. Now, we do know that some victims, you know, they will continue to see their accuser. I mean, the person they're accusing. They will tend to still deal with their so-called abuser. But also, there are some people who just lie and want to shake people down. And so they'll stick around just till they can get their big payday. Now, one of the two is going on right here. And I'm going to say, in my opinion, it's the latter. Okay? In my opinion, it's the latter. And here's another thing. Remember when Shannon was talking about his, he did that video releasing his own statement? If you all remember, he said something about, there's about a 30-second video that's going to be released, an SEX video that her attorney is going to release. And it's going to make him look like he's doing something he shouldn't be doing or whatever. And he said, I'm telling them to release the whole 10-minute video. Remember that when he said that? Here's the thing. The reason she likely has video of him, she probably has more than one, because he was supposedly spending the nights at her house sometimes. And she's an OnlyFans model. People that are OnlyFans, don't they usually have cameras around their houses and stuff so they can record themselves doing stuff? Don't they usually have cameras, and specifically in the bedroom, I would think, where they're doing their little do when they're on OnlyFans? So she probably already had stuff set up. I don't know if he started or knew it was there, but clearly he should have known or thought that she's recording. She's OnlyFans, and he knew that. Second of all, why would you be dealing with an OnlyFans girl when you know that they're all about money? Well, that's because he's thirsty and clearly didn't care, because he felt like he has the money, in my opinion. But the fact of the matter is this: I want y'all to think about something. Because when he supposedly was, or when his lawyer came out and said that he offered $10 million, but she decided not to take it. Here's the thing. Some people said, oh, that's a sign of guilt. Well, that was never a sign or admission of guilt to me, because you wanted to settle it. I think that maybe the reason, you know, that he wanted to settle was because he didn't want all his business coming out. And specifically that 30-second S tape. What in the hell's he doing on that tape, y'all? What's he doing on that tape? Wouldn't y'all like to see? Because think about it. How the other lady, Michelle Bundy Evans, said that he would get on all fours and want her to stick things up that rump, mainly her fingers. So is that what he's doing on that 30-second clip? Because if that's what he's doing, that would make me offer $10 million too. Okay? On all fours, fingers up the rump. Or was he dressed up like Kunta Kinte and she's dressed up like Little Miss Ann, spanking him on his bottom with a ball gag? Okay? Or like Ray J said, maybe those plugs were up his rump. Okay? I don't know, honey, but at the end of the day, 30 seconds clip, we don't know what was in there, honey. He could have been dressed up like Uncle Remus from Song of the South. He works for ESPN, who's owned by Disney, honey. He could have been dressed up like Mickey Mouse, Pluto, or Goofy. I'm just saying. So who knows what was really going on, honey? At the end of the day, Shannon offered her that $10 million to avoid embarrassment for everybody knowing how he really gets down in the bedroom. I bet you that. And now I'm really so curious about this video, honey. What was he doing? Honey, Lord have mercy. If that video is released at any point or leaked or anything, honey, and I see Shannon's big butt bent over on all fours with little Miss Gabby behind him, putting a cucumber, I know y'all better come and collect me, okay? Y'all better come and collect me real quick, okay? That's all I'm saying, honey. That's it, the Queen, stop. I'm crying over here. I'm serious, honey. Picture it, okay? It's no telling what kind of shenanigans they were involved in, honey. Okay, I mean, we already know about the race play. That's bad enough. But what else? Honey, she was probably over there buck breaking Shannon, honey, like they did back on the plantation. So it's all nefarious. It is all nefarious. I'm telling you, it got to be something embarrassing and as embarrassing as hell for him to offer $10 million. Not 1 million, not 2 million, not even 5 million. He said, oh no, let's give her 10. That's a whole lot of money. That's a whole lot of money. Even though if you have money, that's still a whole lot of money. $10 million at the end of the day, honey. That's no chump change. So, honey, it has to be something that is extremely embarrassing for him to offer that kind of money. What were you doing, Shannon, honey? If he was dressed up, what if he wasn't dressed up? I was giving him the benefit of the doubt when I said maybe he was dressed up like Mickey Mouse, because really, what if he was dressed up like Minnie Mouse? Now that would be crazy. What if he was dressed up like Minnie Mouse, honey, instead of Mickey? Pay attention. This is all nefarious, honey. I absolutely cannot. But anyway, so let's take a vote, black folks. Should we or should we not? What if she was using one of those things that you, oh, Lord have mercy. What if she had a strap? What if she went and got the strap for his arse? I don't want to see that. I don't even want to think about it. But what if that's what it was? And that's why he offered all that money. Ooh, honey, talk about a tight end, honey. Ooh, this is all sad. D Hood Real Estate Queen. Queen could do stand-up comedy too. Thanks, beloved. This is all nefarious. Right? It says on that recording, he talking about what you did to me. I know, right? What did she do? Yeah, that's exactly what it said. What she did to what, honey? Juju said he's dressed up like a little Miss Mermaid. Kiki said Queen is stressing herself out with all these what ifs. Ooh, honey. Queen Sam said Miss Ann got the oh Lord, I can't even say that word. Hold on, honey. Not the beads that go up your rump. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You heard what Ray J said, right? Ray J was talking about them plugs, okay? Hold on. TC Dan said, Alexa, play A Whole New World, please and thank you. You are something else. Hold on, I got something for y'all. Thank you, TC Dan, for your insight to the topic, beloved. And thank you for purchasing a membership. Let's go to Ray J, honey, because y'all know anytime it's stressful, it's too much going on, we can always get a laugh out of Ray J. Now, remember yesterday I told y'all what he said about Shannon, honey. I'm gonna play the video of him actually saying it, because Ray J is a whole hot mess. All right, let me put an overlay on here. Ray J is a whole hot mess. Hold on, here we go. Lights up.
Yo, Shannon Sharpe, bro, like, I seen that, like, I was looking at, like, everything that's going on. Maybe I'm tripping, but, like, she told you to do some bondage stuff. I remember when I did Love and Hip Hop and Princess had me in the bondage room, I had the ball in my mouth, pause. They had me tied up and she was whipping me and beating me and shit. And then, you know, they wanted me to do that. I'm like, look, I don't do all that. It was choking. It was all kind of crazy shit going on in there. It was weird and it was painful and I hated it, right? It seemed like that's what y'all was doing. Then all of a sudden, when you get kinky with it, like, I'm going to choke you outside. I'm into it now. After she done ties you up, whipped you, put a butt plug in you or whatever what it was that got you going, which is to each his own. And I didn't mean the butt plug. That's not okay. Now she trying to use it again. Yo, Shannon Sharpe, bro, like, I seen it. Like, I was looking at, like, everything that's going on. Maybe I'm tripping, but, like, she told you to.
At the end of the day, honey, Ray J's a whole hot mess. All right, pay attention now. MF Judge said, now I can't stop picturing this fool dressed like Minnie Mouse. Okay? I'm telling you, honey, let's not tell him what he was doing, because to offer that sort of money he has to know that it's going to be something that's extremely embarrassing. Okay, that's just what I'm thinking. But hold on, because let's talk about what Tony Busby said when he responded. Okay, when he responded. Hold on, let me pull that up because I got his post. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, then we're going to go to what Cameron and Mace had to say. Okay, so Tony Busby says, on the one hand, Mr. Sharpe and his lawyers claim that the case filed by Jane Doe is meritless. Yet on the other hand, they now have disclosed that Mr. Sharpe offered Jane Doe $10 million in writing not to file her lawsuit. Now pay attention, Tony Busby said they, okay? They disclosed, and that's true, they did. It wasn't Tony Busby who came out and exposed that, like some people are saying. No, it was his own attorney. That's why I know that man is not a good attorney, in my opinion. Now, that is a true statement. This is what Busby says. That is a true statement. Jane Doe was, in fact, offered $10 million to settle, but rejected that offer, choosing instead to proceed with litigation. Sharpe's team is now trying to discredit and dox her. Sharpe and his team are now, as anticipated, also attacking me. We're not going to be deterred by those tactics. Tony Busby, please sit down. Here's the thing. Some people were saying that when Shannon and his attorney are saying that she's an OnlyFans model, that they're trying to, basically shame her. And that they're trying to say that because she's an OnlyFans model that, you can't trust her or she'll do anything or whatever. Well, some of those people will. That is just the truth of it. Okay? And here's the thing. How is anybody shaming her for being an OnlyFans model? People that do OnlyFans, what are they ashamed of? They're out there doing this stuff on OnlyFans and people are seeing them and paying to see it. So what's there to be shamed for? Okay? And in fact, some people have no shame. So can you really shame someone who has no shame? Okay, I'm sorry. And the things that she was saying in the text messages or whatever would lead me to think that she's somebody who has very little shame. Now, that's just my opinion. Now, you can say I'm victim shaming whatever you want, but first of all, prove she's a victim. Okay? Okay? Prove she's a victim, because at the end of the day, I think her and Shannon are both just ridiculously nefarious. Okay, I think that she was running the game. I think that she was setting Shannon up, and it's a whole shakedown, okay, with her and Busby in cahoots, because as soon as they found out that Shannon was supposed to be signing or was in negotiations for a $100 million contract, I think Busby said to her, let's go for the gusto. 10 million when we can get 50, okay? I'm gonna need my cut. I'm gonna need a bigger cut to make up for what I lost with the Jay-Z debacle. So let's go big or stay home. Okay, like he's playing a game of spades or something, honey, at the end of the day. That's just my take on it. Okay? That's just my take on it. That at the end of the day, they just both got greedy. I think she's absolutely shaking Shannon down, but Shannon is absolutely a clown and a raccoon, because at the end of the day, he put himself in that predicament and he should have known better. If you're 57 years old or right around the corner from 60, like I said, and you allow somebody like that, the girl is not even smart. You can tell she's not smart. You can literally tell. She don't even sound smart the way she talks. And her voice is so monotone and just boring. I don't even know how, she's talking sexy to anybody, okay, with that voice. But here's the thing. If Shannon allowed himself to be played, then that's on him. The responsibility falls on him to defend himself, not us. We don't owe him anything. I'm going to save my defense of Black people for people that are in predicaments like Carmelo Anthony, people that go through things like George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. That's who I'm going to be out here, protesting, not protesting in the streets, but you understand what I'm saying. That's who I'm going to be out here speaking up for. That's who I'm going to be out here defending. Okay, that's being on code. All right. And at the end of the day, what I'm not going to do is sit around here and defend a man who clearly is not on code himself. Okay, you don't see him out here saying good things about Black people for the most part. And this is the same person who said some things about Karen Lacey before Karen Lacey took his life that he didn't have to say. He judged him without knowing all of the facts before the young man even had a chance to go into a courtroom. Who knows how that impacted that young man's thinking process? Okay? So no, he should have defended Karen Lacey. That's what Shannon Sharpe should have done. He didn't defend Karen Lacey, but I'm supposed to defend him. You're supposed to defend him. That's not being on code. Say what? I beg to differ. I absolutely beg to differ. Okay? That's right. Mel said and Trayvon Martin. Exactly. Okay? Roddy said she is slow and Shannon thought he was controlling her. Exactly. Troy Parker says $100 million contract, they seem to fall. Right. You son said Shannon sitting on watermelon. Okay, and Terrion Lacey said no one cares what happens to Shannon Sharpe. Exactly, we don't care. He brought this on himself, and the same person who was saying that we're not on code if we're going in on him or calling him out said that he's never said anything negative about black women. Yes, he has. He literally said that if you ever see him with a black woman on his arm, he's holding her for the police. That's what he said, and he thought that was funny and cute. And no, it is. It is funny. It is funny. I laughed when he said it, because I knew that's how he thinks anyway. It didn't hurt my feelings because black women aren't checking for you anyway. Shannon, have you seen your face lately? Have you seen yourself? And quite frankly, white women aren't checking for him either. They're checking for his money. They're checking for his money. Okay, that's how that goes, Shannon. All right, please, talking about if you see her with a black woman on his arm, he's holding her for the police. So what is he saying? That all of us are crooks? I'm sorry, talking about he didn't say nothing negative. Yeah, he did say something negative. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, this woman wrote a letter saying that she's breaking up with her boyfriend over Shannon Sharpe. Let's get into that, and then I want you all to hear what Mace and Cameron had to say. Now listen to this. Shannon Sharpe might have ended my relationship. And I'm like, girl, bye. Okay, if you got a boyfriend that wants to break up with you because he don't like your talking points on Shannon Sharpe, honey, he's probably the same type of Negro as Shannon. Or maybe he's not a Negro, but whatever type of man he is, he probably thinks it is just like Shannon. Okay, so here's what it says. So I've been dating this guy for a year. We broke up before last year and then got back together. He's Nigerian, but raised over in the USA. He's 32 years old and successful, family-oriented, and spoils me. I'm older than him, divorced, no kids. So yesterday we were in his kitchen chilling. Well, he was cleaning and I was chilling at the kitchen island. I was on my phone and saw that Shannon Sharpe resigned. At the time, the post said that he was fired, but same difference. So I said that he was fired to him. He was like, what? I can't believe this. A little bit about me. I've never worn a cape for any man. I've always been a soft girl. Get someone else to do it. Okay? Girly, as I was raised that way. At times, I've been told that I'll end up with a rich white man. Please pay attention. Now, backstory. Okay, so I said he brought this upon himself, dating a teenager. Okay, and I don't feel sorry for him. So he went into this diatribe about how white women do this, but then changed it to all females. This is why men don't want to date and want to be single, he said. I was like, oh, so it's okay for a 56-year-old man old enough to be her father to be with a teen? He justified it by saying she's an OnlyFans model. I told him that he sounds red pillish because he also said that men get more value as they age, but women don't. The final straw of me getting upset and going upstairs to get away from him was when he said, oh, you can't say anything because you sucked a pickle that didn't look like how can I say this? He basically said she couldn't say anything because she was on her knees for somebody who don't look like her. Okay, who don't look like him either. All right, he's Nigerian, so that lets you know he's black. But anyway, so he's saying that that's what you did. Unfortunately, I'm stuck at his place because I had extensive surgery. I'm on leave from work and need someone to care for me while I recover. He volunteered so my mom didn't have to fly out from Florida. We live in Texas. I'm here for opinions, honestly. I'm thinking about walking away because I can't believe that he was really upset and actually said that Shannon losing his job brought his mood down. Side note, he keeps saying things like I hate black men and has been saying weird crap about my looks, mainly because of my skin complexion. I'm a light caramel color. Okay, so she's black, she's light skinned, I guess caramel color, whatever you want to call that. And she says my boyfriend of 1 year is turning red pill adjacent, and I'm thinking of dumping him because of his beliefs, and they didn't come out until the Shannon Sharpe thing. Well, I guess he's letting her know how he really feels. But here's the thing. Yisun said a meal ticket. Okay, so, I don't know what to make of her situation. At the end of the day, if her boyfriend's mad because Shadur got fired or doesn't have his job at ESPN, which they just said he stepped down. But the point is, why would he be mad about it? Okay, I don't know why he would be mad about it. And second of all, if you're having a conversation about something like that and it just takes such a turn left to where you're all getting mad and walking out of the room, then you should probably not be worrying about Shannon Sharpe and his relationships and what he's got going on. You should probably be worried about your own. because it looks like y'all got some things to fix, ma'am. Okay, hope that answered your question if you're listening. Okay, now, Gwendolyn said, Shannon has done everything for the Black community, Shannon has never done anything for the Black community. With all of his money, no donations, nothing for us or our children, at least the children. Well, you know, that's probably true. But the thing is, whether he'd done anything or not, to be honest, if Shannon wasn't a raccoon, I'd probably be speaking up for him. I'd probably be speaking up for him if he wasn't a whole raccoon. But he is a raccoon. He did say disparaging things about Black women as far as I'm concerned. I don't like what he said about holding them for the police. And second of all, he's a big fool because he sat there and let this little young girl just swindle him. So that's his problem. Okay. Lorraine said, I wouldn't be surprised if they come out and say that they have found human remains in Shannon's garage. Like a whole serial killer. Let me tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised at anything they find out about Shannon at this point. Okay. Byron B says, just because you still have helmet strap prints on your forehead doesn't mean that you should take it out on me, doofus. Who are you? Byron, who are you going in on, honey? What? Are y'all beefing in the chat again? He got a mind of a 16-year-old. You know, I mean, maybe he does, and maybe that's why he likes them young. All right. Hey, Shannon, I heard you like them young. Okay. Sad story. Sad story. But let's go to what Mace had to say about Shannon, as well as what Cameron had to say, honey, because let me tell y'all something. In my opinion, Cameron gave the best take. Okay. Cameron gave the best take. Let me pull this up. Like up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Let me see which one of these is best for me to use. Hold on, beloveds. Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Can have an opinion. So when you have this newfound, anybody with a smartphone can have an opinion. So when you have this newfound success, you got to know how to move, especially with the bitches. You got to know how to move, my nigga, because they are, I'm not saying niggas don't fuck with you, but they want something. They want a couple dollars. They want 25,000 in cheek. Fuck is that? Yo, 25,000 in cheek? And you still speak to the bitch? Like you said, to me, it sounds like they had a lot of, what's the word? I don't want to use BDSM. They had a lot of like little rough relationship. When I say that, choke her and she like it. Or grab her up and she like it. Because there's some shit I read it too, that he had anal sex and she got mad because he ain't put the condom on or some shit like that. Obviously, Shorty likes some of this shit, my personal opinion. And like Stat said, I don't want to be disrespectful to anybody going through something serious. But the first thing I took from this when I heard it was, look, he was living in California and moved to Nevada. She moved from California to Nevada too. So if somebody's being abusive to you in one state, why would you move to the next state with the same nigga who's abusing you? I don't know. Me personally, I found the red flag with that personally. And then the next thing is this sex tape that's supposedly coming out. Shannon said, put the whole 30 minutes out or 10 minutes, whatever it is. I guess there's some part in there for 30 seconds because brought that up. Shannon brought that up. He said, I believe he's going to release 30 seconds of it. Whatever that 30 seconds is, must be nasty and violent and fucked up. If you don't want to put the whole 10 minutes and you reducing it to that 30, it must have been WWE in that joint. Elbow off the top of the bed, off the thrower against the dresser. You white little bitch, come here, suck big black dick. Fuck you talking about? You want nigga dick? I get that part. I get it. Because I tell white bitches you want that nigga dick. but it's consensual. They agree. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I've been doing this in a different realm from him. I never made it as a professional athlete. I've been out here shaking and juggling these bitches since 20 years old. I know what you up to. I know when a bitch try to bait me in a text message to say some dumb shit. I ain't writing it back. You right. And I'm not writing nothing back. You can't get me to write a damn thing back when I see what's going on. You get what I'm saying? Anybody with a smartphone.
Cameron said he ain't writing a darn thing back when he know where it's going. Exactly. Like, why would you? Only a fool. That's why I said he's just not that smart, okay? He's just not that smart. Please pay attention. Hold on. Let me go to this next video. Now, this is Mace giving his thoughts. That's not the video I wanted of Cameron. Let me see if I can find the other one while you all listen to what Mace has to say. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Online, but Mace
is new, and also Mace's new audio came out yesterday. He said, "Oh, you want a big bag? I put a big black baby in you."
Man.
He said, "A little white girl put a big black baby in you," or something to that effect.
Wow. This is a lot. Where do we start? The girl is 19. He's how old?
54 or 56, one of the
50. Let's just say 50, in the late 50s, right? So he's in his late 50s. She 19. This is a lot. This is a lot because I know when I'm hearing people, they're like, "Well, this wouldn't have happened with a black girl." Let's start right there. With a black girl, he probably would have paid child support. There's a lot of things that it would have been easier. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not for this, but it would have been easier with a black girl if let's say she was from the projects, her name was LaTanya, you know. He wouldn't have been paying what he's paying. I just know that much. Y'all think I be laughing? I'm not trying to see. This is why I don't talk. Y'all don't think I'm trying. I'm not trying to make light. This is a serious matter, right? This is a real serious matter. Let's make it serious because I'm not trying to joke. People would say that a man only end up here when he's being arrogant, right? When people get a bunch of money, they think they could do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? I've been rich. I'm rich. Killer's rich. He's been rich. You know, a lot of people been rich and they still are rich, but I don't think we've ever gotten to the place where we're takers. You know, this is what I'm getting at. And for him to offer 10 million says that there might be some truth to this, because I'm not offering nobody no 10 million if I know I didn't do anything. And I think the only reason the 10 million didn't work, Killer, I want to know how you feel about this. I think the 10 million didn't work because the pimp need his cut. You know, just allegedly. I'm not saying there is a pimp, right? Let me give you. It's just an idea. This is just an idea, right? So if there's a pimp, right? Why y'all keep laughing? I know this is why they flew me back in. They wanted to know my take. But listen, all jokes aside, if the girl said I want 10, this may be the lawyer, right? Just hypothetically, all of these things, right? And the guy who put her on to Shannon was like, you didn't even know him. I put you on him. You didn't even know who that was. You was asking about college.
You was asking about college.
Yeah, this is your Thurgood Marshall right here. Him right there. For real? Yeah, that nigga worth a lot of money. You know how guys be, and they pushed her on her. And then she said 10. And he was like, 10 is my 10. You gotta put in your number for yourself. That don't have nothing to do with my 10 is mine. That's what we discussed. I'm just telling you, I ain't been out the streets that long. I know this is how peace think. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody's watching this and you know that, baby, you just put it in the chat and say it's Mace lying. And then another thing I want to look at in this whole entire case, right? I heard something about 50 or 25,000 a cheek.
25,000 a cheek.
That's what she texted him. She need 25,000 per cheek.
What are you doing with a cheek to pay 25?
Prior to working with Popular Peas, we never ever got.
No, this is a lot, Paul. This is a lot to unpack. Just really thinking about it from an objective point of view. We pray all of this is like a fallacy or some kind of hoax or something like this, because he was about to get a bunch of money. And you know, when you're about to get a bunch of money, people that hate on you just wait until you're about to get that money and rain on your parade. But we can't say that. And that's why I wanted to say it, to get Stats' opinion. I knew when I said that she was going to go, yeah. No, you can't be on your way to 100 million. I keep telling Killer, right? And niggas picking these kind of girls. You can't do that. We talked about this with Ant-Man. We talked about this with several players. You just can't do that. You about to get 100 million. You can't throw it away for an IG model.
And he's absolutely right. And that's why I said Shannon is just not that sharp. Okay, because when you have that kind of money, you're a multi-millionaire. Why would you be dealing with somebody who's bottom of the barrel, like just, you know, who is doing certain things that's really basically considered a hustle? Okay, S work. You should be trying to get somebody who has something going for themselves at the end of the day. I mean, now he was on that video talking about he wants to date his wage. Well, maybe that's what he should have thought about and should have actually done instead of trying to crack a joke about it, because now look where he is. Okay, what's his wage going to be after all of this settles?
Is she an IG model?
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. How does that work?
She got her separate account and she do her thing on there and people pay.
Is that the one like when people show their feet?
You can. It's whatever the client wants.
So just think about this. What can he do at this point? What can he do at this point?
Yeah, I pay.
He's not wrong.
I don't want him to pay, but he already made an offer.
Who told him that?
Huh?
Who told him to make an offer?
I don't know. It must be bad if you want to make an offer.
I'm not making no offer. Niggas can say what they want. I'm not making no offer. I'm going to court. You gotta get it through the courts.
Yeah, listen.
That's how you supposed to do it. I'm not giving up no money.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded like she wanted abuse. So to be fair about it, she wanted anal sex and got mad because he didn't put a condom on. It sounded like she wanted some. I was put it like this. My person.
ESPN keeps them. Then ESPN need to give all those people their
sex tape supposed to come out. I don't know.
Yeah, I think if I hope all of this is untrue. If it is true, then they gotta do something about this. If ESPN can endure this, then they should give guys like Paul Pierce his job back. They should give Matt Barnes his job back.
Yep.
And even Michael Irvin, our own Michael Irvin, should get his job back.
Yeah.
If people are not just gonna, honor what they supposed to honor, to me, I believe that he should keep his job if he's innocent. But if he's guilty and ESPN keeps him, then ESPN need to give all those people their job back. But I don't really know how this is going to turn out.
That's very true.
And all I saw really was the interview with Stephen A. when he was speaking of it. And I was watching it very carefully, Killer.
Stephen A. said something about this already?
Yeah, because Stephen A., he didn't stand with Shannon Sharpe like he stood with Jay-Z. When he heard about Jay-Z, he said, the guy I know, this is not true. When it came to Shannon, he was like, I wasn't there.
Yo,
in a nutshell, yeah.
I gotta keep it static, you know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't there for Jay-Z neither. You wasn't there for Jay-Z. You were not there for Jay-Z, but you went out on a limb because of the character of guy you know. So I'm not saying that you're wrong for that. I'm saying
now, that's absolutely true. He did go out on a limb for Jay-Z and really defended Jay-Z, okay? Like, he just knew Jay-Z wouldn't do such a thing. But with Shannon, he did say, I wasn't there. And maybe because he knows how Shannon gets down. Now, I'm not saying that he does know, but maybe he does, or maybe he suspects.
Saying I would have thought that the same standard would be there, right? If for a guy you work with every day. Well, not every day, but, you know.
Damn near.
And I'm not taking a shot at Stephen A. It's just an observation.
It does sound like you was taking shots, Stephen A. From what you said, I didn't see Stephen A. shit, but what I'm gathering, what you said from Stephen A. said, he basically said, I don't know the nigga like that.
Well, I ain't putting my hundreds of millions on the line for him.
Yeah, you like, no, I want to hire the nigga. He a little freaky nigga. I don't really know the nigga that well. So whatever happened or whatever happens. I already know Stephen A. He one of them people like, this is going to interfere with me. I have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, Stephen A. is corporate.
He said, I recruited Shannon, but I'm not the boss. Basically, the other higher-ups have to deal with it. That's what he said, verbatim.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, basically.
Is that throwing him under the bus?
Not a little bit, but not really.
In the streets, it's throwing you under the bus.
Yes.
But for corporate, he's not, because he's like, I hired you, and if I hire you and you do something crazy, then now ESPN is going to look at me when I bring somebody new in here like, can we trust my decision making? And I need them to know.
Right.
I brought them here on talent. I didn't bring them here on morals and principles, because you got to remember this whole situation, as the history goes, a couple months into the deal when he brought him in there was already an allegation. You know what I'm saying? So now with this coming out, it's just like the second thing, because remember, there's the tape. And
Okay, so with that all been said, and I'm going to go back to Mace. We're going to listen to this, and then I'm going to tell you all what Stephen A. Smith said about Shannon's attorney, and then we're out, okay? Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Vince I.M. said they don't need him anymore, so he'll be tossed out like they did Stacey Trash, who didn't even know DMX. Rest in peace. Not Stacey Trash. Okay, well, here's the thing. I think that Shannon makes these folks a whole lot of money. And I think that they really hate that he's in this predicament, because they know they got to do something with him. Specifically ESPN, okay? That's why they're sitting there saying, oh, he stepped down. We allowed him to step down or whatever. But I don't think he's coming back, okay? Because like I said, they're owned by Disney. And even though we've heard nefarious things about Disney, they still, choose to keep up appearances, so to speak.
You get what I'm saying? Then you got to know, and see, that's the fucked up thing. It seemed like he trusted her from the conversation I heard. You got to read the signs like, I don't want to get choked. That ain't something you usually say. Hold on. You don't usually talk to me like this. Why are you talking to me like this now? Yo, I'm going to hit you back. Boom. And then when shit ain't right, you be like, when you answer the phone, they be like, hello, hello, hello. They setting up. Oh, I can hear you now. They done set the call up. You got to read all these signs, bro. And you got to think about this, right? This is why, and a lot of people call this nigga Uncle Tom, and he don't like black people, or this, that, and the third, et cetera, et cetera. This is why Stephen A. don't get into no shit like this. And I'm gonna say none of us is above it, knock on wood, but he knows he works for Disney. When you work for Disney, a sex tape can't be coming out like this. You can't be admitting that, 30 seconds of this shit was kind of rough. I'm letting y'all know. Shit get a little wild. But didn't he like 30 seconds get what? Yo, this Mickey Mouse in there. What you mean 30 seconds get wild? I think that Disney's getting a little more lenient because of shit like Pat McAfee, cursing at 12 p.m. in the afternoon. Not just that, Shannon had a little sex tape that he admitted to, nothing visual, just vocal. So I think it's a little more lenient, and I hope that Disney does keep him. I'm rooting for him because I do believe this is a shakedown. But when you start getting the video evidence and vocal evidence and audio evidence, I should say, pardon me, and text messages and this, that, and the third, that's crazy. Last thing I'll say before I let Stat give her opinion, if she has an opinion, is that the Busby shit. I don't like the name Busby. It sounds like the nigga that you be like, have you been done wrong? And then an 800 number pop up at the bottom of the screen. Call Busby. We'll make sure we'll get your money. That name sounds crazy. The only difference between Jay-Z and Shannon's situation, because he put Jay-Z name in it because Busby tried to go after Jay-Z, is Jay-Z from beginning to end said, I didn't do a motherfucking thing. Jay-Z ain't trying to give nobody no money. Jay-Z ain't trying to settle out. Jay-Z actually said, fuck that. If y'all think y'all got something on me, fuck a civil lawsuit, make it criminal. I should be going to jail if I did something like this. And that shit was out of here because they knew they ain't have nothing on them. Now, when you trying to settle out on the low, it's a little bit of guilt there. Something happened. Not saying it wasn't consensual. Maybe you offered the money because you like, look, I ain't got time. I just need this to be swept under the rug so I can get back to work and do what I got to do in between these deals. But that's the problem too. Think about Puff and Cassie, right? You make this deal, you give Cassie 15 million or whatever she got, you be like, okay, everything's swept under the rug, right? Cool, let's keep life moving. Yeah, I never called nigga. I got the tape. Nigga hit you like Menace. You ain't seen Menace that. Nigga said, I got the tape. Nigga, now it's another nigga. You call, I thought we settled out, Cassie. This nigga made a copy and all that. Like, I ain't even know the nigga had a copy of that. Now you got Puff running down the hall and the towel dragging him out of here after you done paid 15 million. It's a mess. It's a damn mess, man. I don't know how this gonna play out, but I do know that it don't look good when you try to give somebody a couple dollars to sweep it under the rug. Like I said, Busby did go after Jay-Z. That nigga Jay-Z hit Busby with a Kentucky Fried 8-piece. Bop, 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 bop. Sent that nigga back in his office. We ain't hear about Busby until this Shannon shit. We'll see what happens, but that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I just want to add, a lot of things can be true. Like, yes, the girl is younger, but she's still of age. I feel like, you don't know what could have happened. She could have started something and then it got into something that she didn't want it to be. And at this point, you're already in too deep. As far as Busby, are we really surprised? Because he is a lawyer. He's going to go at somebody who is making a lot of money. That shouldn't be a shock. And then for Shannon, I mean, in the end, clearly he wanted to be satisfied.
Now, let me tell you why Shannon is extra stupid. And here's why. Because what have we been seeing lately? I want you all to really, really marinate on this, okay? Let me stop the music. So listen, all of these lawsuits have come out, not just Diddy. Not just Diddy. There was the whole situation with Jonathan Majors, but there was not just Diddy. There was Aaron Hall was accused. There was Jimmy Iovine was accused. There was Russell Brand was accused. Okay, do you all remember the lawsuits were coming up out of the woodwork? Nigel Lithgow was accused by Paula Abdul. There was many, many people being accused. Axl Rose. Okay, I could go through a whole slew of people that were being accused. All right, I was reporting on them continuously. Vince McMahon. All of these men that were being accused, Shannon didn't have the wherewithal to think that he has all of this money and fame. He's a millionaire, multimillionaire, dealing with young women 30 years younger than him, that maybe they're watching all of this stuff play out on social media, on the news, on blogs, seeing all of these different women making accusations against these men, asking for millions. He didn't think that that could happen to him. that he was in the line of fire? He didn't see the red flags. And then especially when she starts asking him certain things over the phone or sending him very telling text messages, he didn't notice anything. He was completely blindsided, but how could he have been so naive? All of these lawsuits coming out, I wouldn't have wanted anything to do with anybody that was on OnlyFans. I wouldn't have wanted to do anything with anybody that didn't have money of their own. Anybody who didn't have millions like I have millions. Because I can't trust you. I don't know what your motive is. I don't know if you're up to something. There's a bunch of people being accused. So he should have been extra careful. He should have been the one recording things. He should have been making her sign consent forms every time they had relations, with a date and time stamp. He should have been doing a whole lot of things to protect himself, but the sad thing is he didn't do any of it, apparently. This girl who talked on the phone about him manipulating her, saying, don't manipulate me. Well, clearly she was manipulating him. Maybe they were both manipulating each other. Or maybe Shannon just foolishly thought that he was manipulating her, not realizing that all along she was the one holding all the cards. So with that all being said, I'm going to ask the question, Black people, once in the chat, if you think that we owe it to Shannon Sharpe or our community to defend him, once in the chat, if you think we should be defending Mr. Sharpe, who clearly isn't that sharp. Should we be defending him? Oh, hold on now. Thank you, OG Patrice said. Breaking news, Queen. Tom Brady accused of being behind Shadur Sanders' NFL draft situation. I never liked Tom Brady. I told y'all he was a cheater who cheats and a liar who lies when he deflated those footballs years ago. Let's get into it, honey. Thank you for telling me that. Tom Brady, let me find out that you had something to do with it, honey. I'm going to drag you for filth. Hold on. I'm looking for it, you guys. Y'all go ahead and vote. Once, if you think that we owe it to Shannon and our community. Twos, if you think we don't owe him a damn thing and shouldn't, in fact, feel bad if we don't defend him. Okay, here it is. Came out. Oh, let's get into it, honey. Tom Brady accused of sabotaging Shadur Sanders' career, honey. It's NFL draft. So let's get into it. Okay, while I'm sending that to my email. Okay, so most of you all are putting twos. Most of you all are putting twos. Okay, so it looks like everybody put twos, honey. I guess nobody wants to fool with him. Okay. I guess nobody wants to fool with him. Hold on, beloveds. Let me hold on just a second. Tom Brady. Are y'all serious right now? They said Tom Brady done sabotaged. Hold on, beloveds. OG Patrice, thank you for catching that. Okay, thank you for catching that. I find this all so interesting. Okay, so y'all know we got to talk about this. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Hold on, guys. I'm making an overlay real quick. Okay, so now let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right, so here's what they say. I find this all so interesting. Hold on, beloveds. All right, here we go. All right, so here's what they're talking about. Tom Brady accused of sabotaging Shadur Sanders' NFL draft dream as Skip Bayless drops bombshell claim. Well, I'll just be darned. So listen to this. Shadur Sanders tumbled on the NFL draft in dramatic fashion this week, and the finger has now been pointed at Tom Brady. Once pegged as a top 5 pick in the 2025 draft, Sanders, the son of NFL Hall of Famer Dion Sanders endured humiliation as he slid not only out of the first round, but also the second, third, and fourth. Now, the Colorado quarterback suffering finally ended Saturday when the Cleveland Browns ultimately selected him for the 144th pick in the 5th round. But the shocking slide had many fans and analysts accusing several teams of snubbing the 23-year-old, including Brady's Las Vegas Raiders. The NFL legend, who only became a minority owner in the Raiders last October, is now under fire as he has been accused by Skip Bayless of playing a role in Sanders' draft demise, saying it's now pretty clear Tom Brady, who mentioned Shedeur, told the Raiders not to take Shedeur. Duly noted. That's what the sports analyst claimed on X during the draft process. Honey, isn't this something? Okay. Yeah, this is what he posted. Skip Bayless, I see the post right here. It's now pretty clear Tom Brady, who mentioned Shedeur, told the Raiders not to take Shedeur. Duly noted. Okay. So that all being said, Brady has a personal connection to Sanders, having mentioned the young signal caller and trained with him back in 2020. He has also previously sung the quarterback's praises when he opened up on their relationship back in 2023, saying, "I see someone who has a great work ethic, but wants the knowledge too." Okay, this is what he said on a past episode of the Let's Go podcast. People always ask me, how good do you think this guy is going to be? And I always say it depends on who he surrounds himself with. It depends on who mentors him. Because even you, Dion Sanders, weren't a finished product at 21 or 22. I certainly wasn't. I had the right people come into my life, and I was open to learning from them. Now, naturally, he's very proactive. We had a conversation, then phone calls. Okay, then text messages. And then I'm making the commitment to say, all right, this is what I want to do. I'm very serious about it. A lot of it is you want to see what their intention is too, because when you see someone that's really open to learning and has a thirst for knowledge, you want to be able to support that. However, when it came to drafting Sanders, the Raiders passed on him multiple times. See how they'll do you? Okay, see how they'll do you. This all goes back to what Muhammad Ali said, okay, about those snakes. Pay attention. Now, however, when it came to drafting Sanders, the Raiders passed on him multiple times. Las Vegas traded with Seattle Seahawks for quarterback Geno Smith earlier in the offseason, temporarily satisfying their needs under center. Now, the Raiders used their first round pick on running back Ashton Jeanty with a 6th overall. So they went on to select wide receiver Jack Beck at 58th overall, Darian Porter at 68, and Caleb Rogers at 98, and Charles Grant at 99 in the 2nd and 3rd rounds as Sanders continued to tumble. Now, they did eventually bring in young backups for Smith in Tommy Mellott and Cam Millett with a 213th and 215th picks. Meanwhile, Sanders was finally put out of his misery Saturday afternoon when the Browns selected the ex-Colorado star with the 6th pick of the 5th round. Months ago, Sanders was believed to be the top 3 pick because the teams with those first selections. Because of the teams with those first selections, the Tennessee Titans, Browns, and the New York Giants were all in need of quarterbacks. Yet in the weeks leading up to the draft, there was increasing speculation that Sanders could fall down the order after reportedly giving a bad impression in meetings with multiple NFL teams. And his character in particular had been targeted following the combined with anonymous team sources branding him brash and arrogant following interviews. So yeah, they think he's arrogant, just like Dion. But I want you all to pay attention to something. Why is it that it's a problem when a black man is deemed as arrogant? Even if he is arrogant, what's the problem with that? That's arrogance is how you feel about yourself. Why is it a problem to feel good about yourself, to be confident in yourself, to know who you are and think highly of yourself when you're a black man? You see, because they don't say these things about white men. Oh, he's arrogant. Oh, he's cocky. They never say that. Tom Brady is arrogant, is he not? There's plenty of white men that are celebrities and they're cocky or arrogant, but nobody talks about them because they're supposed to feel that way. They're entitled to, and they have the reason and the right to, but a black man doesn't. Is that why they're mad at Shedeur and Dion Sanders? Because they feel like they're both arrogant and cocky? Well, of course it is. But let's continue. So anyway, goes on to say, and I find that interesting that this is their excuse. Okay, that just goes to show that it is absolutely nothing more than hate, saying that he's brash and arrogant. That's what they said following the interviews. So with that all being said, what do you all think, honey? Tom Brady sat there and smiled in Shadur's face, said good things about him and sang his praises, but then when it was time to pick him, he was overlooked multiple times. What does that say to you? You know what that reminds me of? In the movie Roots, okay? In the movie Roots, do you all remember, for those of you who've seen it, think about when Kizzy was sold off from the plantation, okay? And the white girl, I can't remember her name, was it Miss Ann? That was her so-called best friend. She went and peeked out the blinds and saw them taking Kizzy, and Kizzy crying and screaming, didn't want to go, and she didn't say a word. Kizzy was her slave, actually. Kizzy had been bought for her, wasn't she? That was supposed to be her bestie. And she taught Kizzy to read and all of that. Why didn't she go out there and say, hey, wait a minute, don't sell her. I want to keep her. Let her stay here with us. Because she acted like she just loved Kizzy so much, just like Tom Brady acted like he was so down for Shedeur. And then when it was time for him to show up and show his support, what did he do? He turned his back on him. Same way the lady did Kizzy in the movie Roots. Okay? Now, why did I just tell you all that story? Well, because when I was a little girl and I saw that movie, my stepfather, when I asked him about that scene, my stepfather said that just goes to show you can never trust certain people. Okay? You can never trust them any further than you can throw them. No matter how nice they appear, no matter what kind words they say, or no matter how much they skid and grin in your face, some people you just will never be able to trust. And you know why? Because they're always going to view you as a ninja. Okay? That's what my stepfather said, but not as a ninja. He said it with the E-R, like how they say it. That's what my stepfather told me. And I never forgot that. Okay? So I'm never disappointed in any of the things that they do, because I already know how it goes. I mean, Muhammad Ali told us too, and so did Malcolm. Okay? So did Malcolm. Now, with that all being said, Troy says the Sanders don't fit their narrative. Of course they don't. D Major says can't trust some people of their own skin color too. Well, we know that. I mean, we already know that, all right? Look at Tim Scott, prime example. But that's not the point. Okay? That's not the point, beloved. Okay? Skeltar fan said kids is spitting her water at the end. Yeah, she sure did. Okay, she absolutely did. All right. Gwendolyn said Tom Brady is jealous. Of course he is. He's a hater. Listen, Tom Brady has not really won all those Super Bowls. It was rigged. That's my opinion. Second of all, he's not such a great athlete. I know they love to say that he is and try to put him up there on that pedestal and on a high horse, but he ain't all of that. And if he was all that, then why, a few years ago, did he let the air out of those footballs? Isn't that called cheating? And I always find it interesting when they try to say that he's the greatest athlete ever. If he was the greatest athlete ever, he'd have never cheated. Okay? All right. Do you think they would be saying that about Muhammad Ali or Dion Sanders or somebody else, Walter Payton, whomever, if they had ever been caught cheating? Of course not. Of course not. I don't like Tom Brady. Never have. I never thought he was all that. Okay? He's entitled and he's arrogant, but it's no problem for him to be so. Please pay attention. I absolutely believe that he was throwing shade and that he was being a whole hater. Now, let's talk about Stephen A. Smith, because I want to tell you all about Stephen A. Smith, what he said about Shannon's lawyer. Okay? Stephen A. Smith blames Shannon Sharpe's legal strategy for his ESPN hiatus. Smith isn't impressed with Sharpe's lawyer. Neither am I. So since Shannon Sharpe has temporarily left ESPN amid his sexual assault allegations, the network has officially made one statement. They agreed with his decision to step away from his weekly 4 hours as his legal battle between Sharpe and his alleged accuser has now boiled over into the media. Now, whether it intended to or not, the worldwide leader's fronting presence on Sharpe has been through Stephen A. Smith. He's been their de facto spokesperson, taken to his personal podcast at his personal media, company of his personal media company to offer his thoughts on the lawsuit and Sharpe's response to it. Okay, now, it was even through Smith that ESPN's president, Jimmy Pitaro's unofficial stance was relayed. That's why awful announcing Matt Yoder asked the question, who's actually in charge in Bristol? So whether you love the oversaturation of Smith or not, he's told us time and time again that nothing is off limits on the Stephen A. Smith show. Nothing. His day job, which is not being the president of the United States, at least not yet, doesn't prevent him from talking about allegations facing his colleagues. And he did so again on Friday, offered his thoughts on Sharpe, taking a temporary leave of absence from ESPN, but not his Shay media empire. He says, it's been a difficult week for a sports media perspective, or from a sports media perspective, certainly as it pertains to First Take. Shannon Sharpe became a friend when I recruited him to become a board ESPN's First Take. He came to be a board. Okay, I'm not going to get into all that. We already heard the whole spiel. But so basically, when I was on the air just a few days ago, a lot of people were looking for me to say something. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to speak to one's innocence or one's guilt about something I have absolutely, positively no knowledge of whatsoever. That's what Mace was talking about. See, this is what he said about Shannon, but he didn't say any of that about Jay-Z. He was adamant that Jay-Z's not that kind of person, would never do such a thing, and all this, that, and the third. Okay? Do I believe that Shannon Sharpe is guilty of what he's been accused of? Absolutely not. That is my personal opinion. The brothers that I come to know, I don't believe would assault or rape anybody. The brother that I've known, I wouldn't believe it. And I'm going to state that emphatically. But just as emphatically, I'm going to remind everybody that it is my opinion because of what I feel about him. Not in any way implying like that I know a damn thing beyond that, because I don't know. Okay, Smith used the opportunity to say that he's seen the text messages released by Sharpe's representation to take a pointed shot at his ESPN colleague's lawyer. He said he doesn't think Sharpe's lawyer has been impressive in this at all, because some of the information let out to the public, I have no idea why a lawyer would advise such a thing, but it's a different subject for another day. Okay. And that's where Smith really gave away how ESPN views the situation. Okay, so, I have to agree with him. I told you all from the get-go. That I absolutely don't like his lawyer, and I thought it made no sense for his lawyer to be the one that came out and said that he offered her $10 million. Why would you admit to that? I mean, if someone else brought it out like Busby or her, okay, then of course you admit to it, but why would you be the one that spills that tea? Okay, why? And then also the lawyer's the one who supposedly told him to put out the text messages and to make that video giving a statement. That was all dumb. He shouldn't have given any statements. He shouldn't have said anything, because no matter what he says or how he says it, it's going to be used against him when they go to court, because they are going to court, because Shannon and his lawyer said they're not settling anything. They're not giving any money. Okay, but that's after they already offered $10 million. Okay, please pay attention. So anyway, honey, with that all being said, I'm about to be up out of here. Okay. I hope you all enjoyed the broadcast. Please like, share, subscribe, double check to make sure you're still, subscribe to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving those notifications. Okay. I love you all to life. I hope you enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. And I may be back later, so keep those notifications on. But even if not, I will definitely see you all in the morning for your morning wake-up call. Okay. He's trying to be like Puffy's attorney, but mucking up. Is that what he's doing? I don't know if that's a good idea, because he's not coming off like Diddy's attorney. Diddy's attorney has a bit more sense. Okay, Diddy made that statement on his own. His lawyers didn't tell him to do that. Diddy made that apology on his own. All right. Diddy just does what he wants to do without even listening to counsel sometimes, in my opinion. Okay. So anyway, I love you all to life. Enjoy the rest of this beautiful day. Each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Peace.
Hit him with that soul all in my skin. God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen, why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood. Kings all in my circle, you touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got